Hey everybody, it's Josh Alexander with Orange County Housing Market News. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you again for your continued support. I really appreciate it. If this is the first time you've ever tuned into the show, this show is all about Orange County real estate. So I go over what's going on in the local market, I interview local experts, and then I go over some tricks and tips as well as advice for both buyers and sellers, so that way you know what to expect when you're entering the market. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the next year, this is a great place to start. So make sure you hit that subscribe, like, and bell button so that way you're notified every time a new episode comes out. That way you're ready to go when you decide to get into the market. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing what's been happening in the housing market during the month of April and how that's going to impact what's going to go on during May for the housing market. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so let's first look at what's been happening in the housing market in April, and then I'll go over what that means for the May housing market. So if you recall, during my last market update, I let you know that we were at the very beginning of that spring shift, where typically you start seeing more homes hit the market, inventory increase, and demand will start to flatten as well as go down. And that's exactly what's been happening over the last couple weeks of April. So let's take a look at that. So on the supply side of things, we finally started to see inventory increase. So supply is hitting the market faster than coming off finally, which is a welcome relief to buyers. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen about a 6% increase in supply. And that's a great sign because that just tells you that we're starting to enter a more normal market where you start to see these increases right before the summertime. Okay, so let's look at the demand side of things. So over the last couple weeks, we're finally starting to see demand drop a little bit. And I'm celebrating that because that's bringing us closer and closer to a healthy housing market. Because right now, we are in an insane market, which is unsustainable, and we want to start seeing the housing market normalize a little bit. So a decrease in demand is actually a good thing for the long-term outlook of the housing market. So over the last 2 weeks, demand dropped by about 3%. So it's not significant, but it's starting to go in the right direction. The majority of that drop is probably due to interest rates climbing through the month of March. So when interest rates climb, less people apply for mortgages, which eventually translates to less pending sales, and that is now what the data is showing, and that's why we're starting to see that drop in demand. Okay, so supply is going up, demand is going down. What does that mean for the month of May, and where does that going to put buyers and sellers if they're deciding to get into the market in the month of May? So let's take a look at that. Okay, so again, let's start with the supply. So during the month of May, you should expect supply to continue to increase week by week. And that's typical for this time of year. So usually during the months of April, May, and June, we're going to see a large increase of homes hitting the market. And that's going to be true this year as well. On top of that, compared to normal years, we do have a big amount of inventory from last year that didn't hit the market because sellers just didn't want to take the risk of putting their home on the market. That we should start seeing hit the market this year as vaccines roll out, as the cases go down. Right now, I think Orange County has about 1.4% positivity rate, which is extremely low. So we should start seeing people as they're getting vaccinated, with this rate continuing to be low, feeling more comfortable getting their home on the market and finally starting to get it sold. So we should start seeing those numbers increase more significantly week by week as we get closer and closer to summer. Another reason is because a lot of sellers want to get their home on the market right before their kids get out of school, and that way their home sells as they get out of school and they can do all their moving after the kids are done with a semester and they're not in the middle of the school year. So that's again another reason why you start seeing more inventory hit the market now as opposed to in the middle of summertime. Okay, so let's look at the demand side of things now. So on a typical year, during April, you start to see demand kind of peak and flatten out. And then during the month of May, you start to see it start going down all the way through the rest of the year. And that's because when you hit May, people start getting out of school, you start getting the summer coming, so people start taking vacations. You're going to have some buyer distractions where there's not going to be as many buyers in the market. And like I said, that will continue all the way through the rest of the year. This year, however, because interest rates have actually been going down over the last 2 weeks, I do expect to see demand either stay flat or possibly even go up slightly over the next couple of weeks because mortgage applications are now going up again because of those lower interest rates. So I expect over the next couple of weeks to start seeing demand go a little bit higher and then start to go down after that, as long as interest rates continue to climb, which we do expect them to do. We do expect this dip in interest rates to be very temporary, and we should start seeing them go back up again because as the economy improves, the 10-year treasury starts to go up as well as interest rates. So that's something as a long-term trend we still continue to see happening, and we're looking at probably anywhere from 3.4 to 3.9% by the end of this year. Okay, so what does all this data mean for what's going to happen in the market for both buyers and sellers in the month of May? So let's go ahead and look at sellers first. So sellers, you need to get your home on the market as soon as possible. Every week that goes by, inventory is going to continue to rise as more and more homeowners place their house on the market. So the faster you can get your home on the market, the less competition you're going to have to deal with. On top of that, because we did see this temporary dip in interest rates, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, you should have a little bit higher demand than usual, and you're going to be able to have multiple offers, maximize the amount of profit you're going to get in your home. So if you can get it on the market while you have this temporary dip in interest rates, it's going to be a great time to do so. On the buying side of things, if you're able to get in the market with the low interest rates, you should see inventory rise faster than demand through the month of May. So unfortunately, you can never really predict where the interest rates are going to end up, but the odds are is they're going to continue to climb through the month of May. So the longer you wait to get into escrow, the higher those interest rates are going to climb. Now that being said, right around 3% where we are right now is still an extremely low interest rate. And even if it goes up to, let's say, 3.2%, 3.3% by the end of the month, it's still a very good interest rate when you take into historical perspective of what interest rates usually are for the housing market. So if you can get into the market, every week that goes by, you're going to have more options to choose from, which means you're going to have less competition. So it's not great news because it's still going to be an extremely hot seller's market, but you're going to have at least a little bit of a better chance of getting in a home every week that goes by. Just make sure you keep your eye on those interest rates to make sure they don't spike too quickly, because that could really alter how much home you can afford. Okay, so to wrap it up, the month of May is going to bring us an extremely hot seller's market. I expect there to be a lot of home sales, a lot of multiple offers, and a lot of buyers being disappointed because every house they try to put an offer in is still going to have multiple offers on it. So even though we're starting to see at least some trends emerging of getting back to a more healthy market, it's going to take a while to get there. So during the month of May, sellers are still going to have a very significant advantage over buyers. However, by the end of the month, it will diminish slightly. Now, over the summertime, we are expected it to be an extremely hot seller's market all the way through summer. But as the months go on, sellers will have less and less of an advantage as we get towards the end of summer. You will still see a hot seller's market. It just won't be an extremely crazy, insane, once-in-a-lifetime seller's market that we're seeing right now. So I hope you found this information useful. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you soon. Bye. If you found this podcast useful, please hit subscribe and leave a review below. I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any family or friends that want some more information about buying or selling a home, or just want to stay updated on the Orange County housing market, please share it with them. It'd mean the world to me. Thanks.